This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by today.
Hello again.
Yeah, so we have our first guest on the podcast today, and it is the one and only Bug. Hey. And Bug is Josh's sister. Mm-hmm. And she is about almost 3 years younger than Josh. And we thought that it would be, a pretty good idea to have her let us know what it was like. Just, being raised with Josh, living in the environment set up in a way that he demanded often. And as we all tried to work around the idiosyncrasies that were kind of set in stone.
Because it's all about me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right. Well, if we all wanted to be okay, all wanted to, have a successful day of it. Yeah.
Oh, you wound me.
Yeah, right. I know. Oh. So, Bug, I know that you've been asked this question before, and I think I know the answer to it, but I just want to start there. So, what was it like having Josh for a brother as you were born with him almost 3 years older than you, and, through life, what's it been like?
What's it like to not have him as my brother? I mean, I don't know anything different. Yeah. It's just, it's hard to compare to somebody else because I don't know what it's like to not have him. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, okay, so what's it like to be you? What's it like to be Buddy? What's it like to be,
Right. Right.
It's just what it is.
Right, so because you don't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's been since you got here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm wondering then, was there a time that in your life that you had a realization or you understood that your brother behaved differently than most of the people that you knew?
I don't know. I mean, I know there were quirks. I mean, I remember, actually, Buddy and I were talking about this the other day. There was this bully that, pretty much all of his school days messed with him, elementary up. And I remember getting in between them one time. I was in 3rd grade and he was in 5th, and the kid threw a dodgeball at Buddy, and I picked a fight with the kid. And Buddy was very upset. Which, I mean, yeah, you look back at it and, okay, well, your younger sister is standing up for you. I can see why you would be mad. But, I guess even then, like, I kind of thought I had to take care of him a little bit. Like, you don't mess with my brother,
right.
So.
It's, excuse me, I think that's the way it is with a lot of siblings. Even for me with my brother,
mm-hmm.
I feel like I could call him all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if somebody else does,
yeah.
They're going to have to answer to me.
Yeah.
So, Josh, what's interesting about what Bug just said is that, so when you were in 5th grade and she stood up for you,
mm-hmm.
that makes me wonder, at that time, did you have, what understanding did you have? And why were you upset in that circumstance? So you're in 5th grade, she's in 3rd grade.
No, I wasn't even playing dodgeball, I don't think.
He wasn't.
And they were still throwing the dodgeball at me.
Right. So I understand why she stood up for you. Mm-hmm. It's her impression that you were upset with her for standing up for you. Is that correct? Is that how you felt?
I have no idea.
You don't remember it?
No.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering if you were upset by the whole scenario.
One of the really cool things about Buddy is, you know, whenever stuff has happened in the past, it stays there. And I feel like a lot of the things that, like, I remember that because, like, it stands out to me. Like, he got upset at me for doing something that I was like, it didn't even occur to me at the time that it was a problem. Now I'm like, okay, I can see why he would be upset, but I remember that, and he doesn't, because he doesn't hold on to stuff like that. Like, it just doesn't...
I can imagine that one of the reasons why I was upset was because you're my little sister. I'm supposed to take care of you.
Oh, yeah.
But I honestly can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Right, sure. So, I think one of the questions, one of the reasons that you get asked, what was it like living with Josh, being raised with Josh, is because we've talked, and Josh is open about this, and I think comfortable talking about it, that there's a certain way that we would have to do things. There would be, at times, especially much worse when he was younger, that things had to be done in a specific way, in a specific order, and he was very rigid in the way that he thought. And as parents, your dad and I tried to give you your freedom, so to speak. So didn't want to put the responsibility on him. Yet it seemed like there were so many times where, in order just to find the peace in a situation, we would kind of do things his way. Not because he's a jerk, and because we're like, oh, okay,
yeah, you jerk,
yeah, you little jerk will just do it your way just to shut up. But not that, but in recognizing that he could not do it a different way,
right?
So out of necessity, we would do things his way, and I think that's why I wonder sometimes, how did that feel? Like, did it feel like you were missing something from us as parents, or?
You can totally scratch that off of your worry list, because I didn't even notice it. So, don't even think about that for another minute. Yeah, I didn't even. Okay. I mean, I'm sure there were times where. Had I even known that there was another option, I probably would have been upset. But if I didn't even know that there was another option, how could I be upset about it? You know? I think when I got older, there were times where I got frustrated with things. Like, I mean, I'm sure there were things in high school. I mean, I can't think of anything specific right now, but I'm sure there were things in high school that I wasn't able to do something because we had to do something else. And, I mean, I could see that being an issue, but I don't remember it, so it can't be that big of a deal.
Well, I remember, I didn't know that it was an issue that, to go upstairs to brush your teeth.
Oh, God.
Yes, and we didn't realize that this was an issue until you let us know it was an issue, and then we immediately corrected it.
Right. Yeah.
But what that thing is, that we would send you to go brush your teeth at the same time he brushed his teeth, because at the time...
Gender equality.
Because at the time, he was... uncomfortable being up there brushing his teeth by himself.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought, go brush your teeth. Like, that's a normal thing. Kids brush their teeth together. But, yeah, guys, what she's talking about is, we had to stop that. I wasn't able to continue to brush my teeth with him because he had a rhythm. And I interrupted. It's like, have you seen Emperor's New Groove? I interrupted his groove. And
I think we talked about that before. It's a pattern that you don't. It's not an audible pattern. You kind of just sense it. It's a rhythm.
Yeah.
And what you were experiencing was that he would have to do things in a certain way, and if you interrupted, you would get spit on because he would spit and put the toothbrush in his mouth and then spit, and then that would be like a pattern of so many times, and you didn't know that. We didn't know that.
Right.
And you would try to just do what you're doing, like taking turns, and you would end up inadvertently getting spit on. And so that took quite a while for... I don't know why. I don't know how these things happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how is it that we didn't know the very first time he spit on you? Like,
well, I mean, first of all, we're siblings, so, I mean, we messed with each other all the time, so I probably was just like, knock it off, you know? But, I don't know, I put up with a lot of crap that you did to me.
Oh my gosh. Much more than should be reasonable.
Well, yeah.
yeah. That's the stuff that I kind of like to hear about, and I think might help other people have an insight on what it's like living with a sibling that has autism.
Well, buddy, do you want to explain why I have a scar in my eyebrow?
Okay. I thought it would be funny to try and dump yellow snow onto Haley's head. Or Bug's head.
Yeah.
And so I had an actual shovel that was used for dirt that we were using. Haley and I were supposed to be clearing off the driveway. And the path right beside the garage of snow. And so I found this little patchy yellow snow, and I picked it up with the shovel. Hey, Haley! She turns around and starts walking at the same time. I didn't expect her to start walking, so I was moving the shovel over towards her to try and dump it on her head. She walked right into the edge of the shovel.
No, the snow fell off as you were trying to swing it, so it was light and it rammed into my face.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that happened. And it wasn't like he was doing anything mean at all. Like, he was just trying to do a joke.
Putting yellow snow on your head is mean.
Yeah, but it was a joke. And it just didn't end well.
No.
Yeah.
You didn't make the snow yellow, did you?
No.
Okay. All right. just questioning.
Yeah. No, that was you, Mom.
Yeah, right. So that, I think, can be categorized as
things that happen around Josh.
Well, I think that siblings, that could be... Josh doesn't necessarily have to be autistic to do that. I think that's an older brother messing with his younger sister.
So you want, like, an example of, like, when I had to do things differently?
If that's not an issue for you, then it's just not an issue. I'm just wondering. I remember that there were so many times that. So, for example, for how long were you not allowed to have bare feet? I mean, he just was disgusted by feet, and your feet couldn't be up
on the couch.
On the couch, you had to adjust the way that you sat. You had to adjust whether you had, bare feet were just, for the longest time, were gross to him, and you would have to. He just shivered. So you would have to sit differently. You would have to dress differently and to accommodate your brother's issue, whereas otherwise that wouldn't be an issue. And in the scheme of things, that's a very minuscule adjustment that you had to make. And, I suppose it's a positive that we're not able to sit here and just go down this huge list of things that took place.
I think that what the listeners need to know is, there probably is a huge list of things that happened. but nothing jumps out because it was how it always was, so I just wasn't really fazed.
Right.
I did a lot of crap to you that I really shouldn't have, and a lot of the times, not a lot, some of the times, I would not intend for things to turn out the way that they did.
Well, that's what Mom's talking about, where is there a line between you're just siblings, or is it,
sometimes I'm just a jerk.
Well, that's the siblings.
Yeah, right. Right. One time, I had a gig down in Panama City, and remember we drove down, and we went and saw Aunt Mary, and then we went over to the gig, and Nana was with us.
We drove over the median.
Oh yeah, that was before. Yeah. We did because you were in the vehicle with me. I drove over a sign, over a median, and yeah. Okay, so that was not what I was going to bring up.
I got a katana out of it.
But you know what?
I got a katana out of it.
Yeah, Mary gave me a katana.
Right, yep. So when we got over to Panama City, and I was doing the gig, Nana took the two of you to dinner. And Nana, she just told me about this not too long ago, how Josh got his meal and he started freaking out, and you made an adjustment on his behalf. So Nana didn't know that whatever it was, the situation, I think shrimp came with what he had, something to this effect, and he started having a meltdown. And Nana didn't know what to do. And you said, oh, that's okay, Nana, I'll take care of it. And she said that what you did is you went over to his plate and removed the things you took it off of his plate that was the whole issue to begin with. Mm-hmm. And then he settled down and he ate his meal.
I don't remember that, but go me.
Yeah, go you. Yeah, go you.
Well, you always do stuff like that. You
from the time that you were very little, it's kind of incredible to me that you don't recall these kinds of things because it happened all the time. So that
I think that's why she doesn't remember this, because they're so mundane for her that she just does it and doesn't think about it.
Right, and the fact that you were doing these things, I mean, at that point, you were probably 8.
Yeah.
When we came down here?
Really?
10?
No, I was bigger than that because she gave me the pearls and she wouldn't give an 8-year-old pearls. Remember?
If they were fake.
No, they... okay.
That's okay. That's okay. I guess maybe you were older than that. You weren't...
I was a sophomore, wasn't I?
Maybe
That
they were
means
that old. You were in middle school.
Yeah. We were definitely older. I had to have been at least 12.
So you were probably 12 and
15 then or so.
Yeah, something like that. That sound about right?
Yeah.
So at 12 years old, recognizing what the issue was for your brother, when Nana had no idea, she didn't know what to do. She didn't know what was going on. She said to me that Josh had started screeching, and she didn't know what to do, and you just stepped in and you took care of it.
I screeched at 15?
You still screech if you're asleep and yell at me.
I swear at you in my sleep.
Yes, it's kind of...
Does he still do that?
No.
Yeah, that's good.
He screams sometimes, but not at you.
Yeah, growing up, so that's one thing that I won't ever forget. My brother would cuss me out in his sleep.
That was messed up. Like, and how are we supposed to, like, as parents too? Like, were we supposed to wake him up and punish him?
Yeah, right.
It just was like a very awkward kind of thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so
that
hurtful.
I remember. Yeah, I remember it hurt
hurtful.
my feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like, I didn't do anything. You're dreaming and you're cussing at me. Like, man.
Right.
I'm laughing, but it was so messed up.
You were asleep. Yeah.
Or was I? No, I really was asleep.
Was there a difference on how it was outside the house versus inside our house?
I think it depended on the day. When we would go somewhere, it was very much... Okay, back up a second. Buddy always was the boss. Like, obviously you and Daddy were the boss, but Buddy had to be in charge. And sometimes when we would go out, if we had something really cool going on, it would just be, all right, cool, let's do it, whatever. But then other times it would, gosh, you were like, it had to be so specific. And
The trip down the river.
if something happened that didn't fall in line and we were out, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So
When I say going down the river, I was the captain and they mutinied on me.
because you were a jerk, Captain. Like,
I jumped ship, literally.
You did. Yes, we were going like a whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
With a family that we were very close to, and Josh wanted to be the captain, which means he sat on the back of the rubber boat and he would kind of direct us whether we were going to go into some rocks, which way we needed to go, what needed to happen. And our friend was the mom in the other family was oh my gosh, she was still is just a wonderful person. She laughed easily, very, very easygoing, and so much fun. And she started the mutiny. Like, that's how bad this was. Like, so we're going down the river, and this is when we talk about that Josh had specific ideas, and when he had an idea, everybody had to fall in line and go along with his idea, or there was an argument. Without fail. Wouldn't you agree with that, Bug? Mm-hmm. Okay, so whitewater rafting, we're all having a great time, and Josh starts taking this very serious, this position of captain, very serious, and started arguing with us that we weren't doing something fast enough or the right way, or we're not listening to him, and so this experience went from very fun to very uncomfortable super quick. And basically, yes, there was a mutiny, and Josh got fired as the captain, and Haley and her best friend jumped ship. They were wearing life vests, but they're lucky.
I ruined my chucks.
Oh yeah, and we caught up. Yeah, we all caught up at that one spot down river a little bit, but that's just an example of a time where it was fun. It wasn't necessary. You do need somebody back there, that's sitting higher to say, rock's coming up on the left, or whatever it is, and it's fun. Mm-hmm. And whatever takes over with your processing, Josh, was this is just an example of the many, many things that we can't think of right now, where Josh was very rigid in his way of thinking, and it had to be that way, or he was going into meltdown mode, and going into meltdown mode just created havoc. Uncomfortable, and what should have been fun now turns into arguments.
Well, one thing that I've realized is that I cannot be in power over people. Like in a position of power over people, because without meaning to, it just gets to my head.
I now understand why I have always had leadership positions. All right, heard that.
But yeah, whenever I'm put in charge of something, I micromanage and people get upset at me.
Right. It's interesting because I know what you're talking about, but I know that I don't think it's a choice, and Haley doesn't think it's a choice. It's something that, because we've lived with you and know you so well, that it's not something that you set out to be rude or to be offensive or to be hurtful. And for you to, it's like when you say that it's going to your head, I don't even think that
in the sense that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean more in the sense that I am so focused on what the project is that I see it in a certain point of view, that it has to be done this way, and other people that have other ideas, I'd prefer if they listen to me about what the ideas are. And if they can give me feedback as to whether or not it would work, and if it wouldn't work, why it wouldn't work.
You don't want feedback.
You don't want feedback.
That's because nobody gives me feedback. They just say no.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
That is not true at
Sometimes.
all. No, I mean in
school settings, for example. In school settings, I have that issue where if it's like a group project and I'm put in charge of it, I try and find out.
Well, let me just say, put something like an observation in on what that example that you're giving. Even if you're not put in charge of something, you have a way of seeing that is something in your perception how something should be done. And that's the only way that you see that it should be done. And if somebody else has a different viewpoint, you argue your viewpoint, and even if their opinion could make sense, it doesn't fit into your vision, and so therefore it can't possibly work. That happens to this day, where if you have your mind made up about something or an opinion, and I bring up something else, it's discounted. Because you feel like, and I'm not saying that this is a deliberate cognitive situation that comes up. What I'm saying is that this is part of what Haley and I have experienced with you, is that your way of thinking is very rigid, and anything outside of that scope doesn't fit, and it upsets you, and you react in various ways.
Okay.
And apparently having shrimp on your plate is one of those things that doesn't fit in the scope of things.
Which is funny, because you like shrimp.
No.
Not to
I can't eat seafood anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love
You love the
shrimp.
Yeah, the coconut shrimp.
Right.
Yeah. I can't eat it anymore.
It's a shame, that stuff is good.
Yeah. Even I'll admit it's good. I just can't make myself eat it anymore.
So, another thing that I'm wondering about is, what was it like in school? So he was a couple grades ahead of you. What was it like going through school if you would have the same teachers that he had?
I feel like I was really blessed that a majority of my teachers, instead of saying, "Oh, you're JD's little sister," they just let me be Haley. Or some of them knew me as Bug. But I feel like there were definitely some who... I mean, I know if I were to go into the building, first people you're greeted by is the guidance office, because that's who you have to walk through to get through the door. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, "Hey, Haley, how are you?" they would say either one of two things. "Hey, how's JD?" or "Hey, how's your mom?" And the only reason they'd say, "Hey, how's your mom?" is because you were up there taking care of Buddy so often. So, I mean... Other than those few instances, I mean, it wasn't... I don't feel like I was treated too differently. But, I mean, you gotta think, anybody with an older sibling, teachers, if they've had them, they're going to... I mean, they're gonna know. But there are also times, you know, on the other side of the coin, where it was an advantage. So, I loved math. You were only required to take 3 math classes, and I took 6 in high school because I was good at it. I loved it. And it was really, 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 really cool that Buddy had created a bond with one of my math teachers because that was a tennis coach. Because whenever I was 15, I had jaw surgery. He wasn't even my main math teacher at the time. He was my stats teacher. He came to our house and tutored me so that, because I was wired shut for 6 weeks, he came to our house so that, make sure that I was okay. I mean, I feel like most teachers wouldn't do that, but he had grown such a bond for our family, and he was such a good person that, I mean, I kind of owe that to not just Buddy, not just you, not just me, not just him. I think I can kind of attribute that to the relationships that were formed on all fronts. I think that he wanted to be go above and beyond because of all of those connections that had been made. And I think some cool things. Okay, look, Buddy got so much stuff like that happen to him on a regular basis. If he would come home with stuff, and it's like, how did you even get that? And like, you still do, man. You come home with the craziest stuff. I'm like, how did you even get that? Man, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. And so last week we talked about what we call Joshism. Right?
Yes, yeah.
And so I don't know if this was really conveyed very well, but you're making a perfect point. Is that in the midst of these struggles,
I feel like Joshism's rubbed up on me sometimes. Like, yeah. Normally they didn't.
A good example of this would be whenever I went up to New York City. It was just some of my friends and myself, and we went up there, and I happened to be wearing a Jacksonville Jaguars jacket, and we went into Starbucks, because, I mean, it's New York City. Why not go to Starbucks? And my sister's shaking her head.
I mean, I don't know what that has to do in New York City, but continue.
It's all posh and fancy and stuff, I guess. But
all right.
Anyway, we went there, and everyone else ordered, and there was a big line and everything like that. And I come up to the cash register after ordering, and she's like, "Oh, you from Jacksonville?" I'm like, "No, but I love the Jacksonville Jaguars." She's like, "I grew up there. Here, this one's on me."
Right.
Man.
Yes, that's
because it was her last day working there.
Oh, yeah. That's a perfect example, because that's what Bug's talking about. That's what I'm trying to convey in the Joshisms, not only by the things that you say, but those things that happen to you, that it's like...
It doesn't happen to people.
Right. And it's all the time. Yeah. So there are struggles that you have in your life, and then there's these payoffs that you experience all the time, and that's what Bug's talking about. Like, how did you do that? It's that. Yes, that's the perfect example of what happens.
Yeah.
So Bug, so the teachers were pretty cool with you, the counselors and principals and everything in school. Well, what about the other students?
I wasn't really one of the, popular kids. I had lots of friends in lots of different groups, but I wouldn't say that I was popular at all. In fact, a lot of people were pretty mean to me. But I do know that the friends that I had made, they had lots of questions, and sometimes I would walk up and people who weren't my friends, I would walk up, like we were in theater together, we were in choir together, so sometimes I would walk up and I would hear people making mean comments, and right then and there I would excuse you, but you don't know what you're talking about. That's probably why I didn't have a lot of friends. It would set me off. Like, yeah, he's a pain in the butt, but he's my pain in the butt, so shove off.
Right.
I will say this about going back to the adults at school. Every time that I'd go into the front office, like at the beginning of the day or whatever, and I'd talk to someone up there, they'd ask me one of two things.
Yeah.
How's your mom? How's your sister?
Yeah. Now, guys, this doesn't... our dad, he did so many things for our family. This is not a reflection of him not being there. He was 100% there, but he was not at the school because school was during working hours.
Right, and what had happened before that, I don't even know if you two are aware of this, that it became impossible to have a job for me, a daytime job for me, because there were so many things on a daily basis that I would get a call from the pediatrician where I'd have to take care of some issues there. I would have to with the psychiatrist and the therapist, and to their switching some medicines or their whatever it is, and I would always deal with a school nurse with and just so many things that made it impossible for me to work during the day. So because of it,
the school things probably rivaled the amount of time, if not exceeded everything else even.
Well, eventually, I could not have a daytime job because of all the demands that, the issues that I had to address. But
good thing you're funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something else that you just reminded me of.
Uh-oh.
My school teachers in middle school and high school were absolutely amazing to me, for the most part. Some people were just jerks, but like for example, my mom got on to The View, doing her comedy, and the day that it aired, I was at lunch at the time or something like that.
I was in class and they let me.
They let you go too?
They let us come down to the office and watch you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was in the
Now, the reason that they let me is because you told them, and they called me down because of you, which is a Joshism, by the way.
Yeah.
I was in history class.
And we got to see you live on television.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another question. I remember one time, Bug, when you were trying to find your way, I remember one time you said, like, where do I fit in? Because you said, my brother's autistic, my mom's a stand-up comedian, my dad's a genius, and what am I?
I'm the glue.
The glue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was heartbreaking. And at the same time, I knew that it was just a process that you were going through to find your space, to make your mark, and to find out who you are. But I remember that at the time, and I remember thinking that that's a tough situation.
Well, I mean, I just answered it, but I mean, honestly, it's still something I think about because you guys have very, very, very specific things. And like RJ, my husband, is an artist. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody has their own thing. I don't have a hobby. I don't have something that I just love to do. I don't...
You are a helpful person.
Well,
in many ways, you... Not only do you try and help me, but you try and help others that have troubles with things. I mean, for the longest time you wanted to be a nurse, for example, and you would have done extremely well at that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, even with classes in college, you're amazing at stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I have difficulty just finding the classes to go to.
Well, I know that from the time that you were just tiny, just a toddler, there was something that stood out about you, and that is that you could recognize a need that somebody had before they ever verbalized that.
Right. So
you intuitively know when somebody needs something. And you have a heart for helping people in all walks of life. And so when you said that you're not very popular in school, you had friends. I mean, I can remember you having some friends over, and they are so different.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's cliques that just kind of get titled something, so like there would be a grunge, there would be a skate, there would be, you name it. You welcomed people into your life and into your heart without judging them for any aspect of who they were.
You had so many different friends, though, and I mean...
No, you're right. You're right. And I mean, that's why I say, like, I'm the glue, because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. I just love people no matter what.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And that is an innate part of who you are. Mm-hmm. You may have developed that. That's a part of you when you got here. Because like I said, as a toddler, you would pick up on when somebody was...
It's like my Maddie.
Yeah. Bug has a little girl. It's almost...
She'll be 1 on the 16th.
Yeah. And she's got that connection.
Yeah.
That emotional connection.
I know that with me, at least, I know that I had so many people that were not necessarily friends, but not friends. Mm-hmm. Like, in high school, for example, I was friends with just about everybody. There was just a couple people that I wouldn't really associate with. And I went from group to group, clique to clique, or whatever, just like Haley was saying. But she was able to make really good connections with people, whereas with me, I was just friendly with people.
Well, and that was a shift that took place as well for you, Josh, in that it went from you being bullied an awful lot to being, and being mistreated. And then there was a shift when you were about in
6th grade?
11th grade.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was high school.
Yeah, it was high school. And in 11th grade, I remember that the people that used to be bullies lost their power to do so. And you had built a reputation at the school of being a good person, and you stood up to bullies on behalf of other people then at that point. and it was pretty amazing. And I know it. I saw the change when it happened in that. So instead of you being isolated, all of a sudden, no matter where we went, people knew you.
Yeah.
You know, people driving by would hang out their windows, "Hey, JD," and you know, so it that was. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering something, Bug, and this might be the last question I have. So I'm wondering if it felt like you were responsible for Josh.
Yeah.
Has that been your whole life? Is like as long as you can remember, you feel responsible for him?
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember that feeling? Like, is it the same? Like, do you remember when that happened? When you recognized that you this is something that you carry with you?
I remember. I might cry. I remember my brother getting lollipops in his hair on the school bus and getting punched, and I remember it wasn't a normal, this kid's being bullied. He didn't deserve it. People didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I think part of me always knew then that I was always going to stand up for him.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got older, I think it shifted from standing up for him to, like, I'm just always going to be there to help you. Like, I'm always going to be there to make sure that you're okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone has something that they need help with, and you have so many things that you bring to the table and so many things that you're able to offer to people, but your needs are pretty different. And we love you, and we're here to make sure that you're taken care of.
Now you're gonna make me cry. I can't even. I'll form a sentence here, but the words that I'm about to use just fall so short for what this means. That you've told me before that when I can no longer take care of Josh, when Dad's no longer able to take care of Josh, that you are going to step up.
Yeah.
And you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no other... There's no other thing. You see, you made me cry. There's nothing more important. That's it. That's like the golden ticket. Yeah. Yeah. All right, now that I'm a blubbering idiot, I think I think, is there anything else you want to say, Bug?
Yeah. When I'm taking care of you, that doesn't mean that you get to stink up the joint.
Got it. So she's telling you, do your laundry.
Take showers.
Take showers, yes. Yeah. All that stuff. All right. All right. Well, I love you, Bug. Thanks for hanging out with us today for a while.
Thank you.
And everybody out there, thanks for hanging out with us today. Come back and visit us next week, and because we love you.
See you later.
Bye.